So, of course, we all are aware of the humiliating drubbing that the Indian team got in Australia in the recently concluded Border-Gavaskar Trophy. Delving into the reasons behind why we did so bad, while it wasn't expected prior to the series began that India would do very well, I personally knew that India may not be able to win this series, but then the way we started off the series, right, that game at Perth, the very first test match, that gave a lot of hope, a lot of confidence, and I felt India now has an upper hand and we're going to make a good return, we're going to win in Australia for the third time in a row. But what transpired is something none of us imagined from there on, right? So let's delve into 5 reasons why India lost so badly in Australia. Number 1 is I think calling it an underperformance of the star batters would be an understatement. The non-performance of the star players completely. Virat Kohli did score 100 in the first game and I was very optimistic. I was very hopeful that now Virat Kohli is back in form and he's going to score runs in Australia. But what do we see thereafter? In the next 7 innings, across the next 4 test matches, he scores just 85 runs in total. Yes, you heard it right. 85 runs in 7 innings, an average of 12 runs per innings, and getting out the same way all through the series. That reflects something which is seriously wrong. Virat Kohli, the most correct batsman technically, the batter who had all the shots, who had everything you needed to be the best in the world, now seems to have completely eliminated a very essential part of the game, which is to play on the back foot. He doesn't play on the back foot at all. Number 1, he's standing outside the crease, which may be a good option in England where you need to eliminate the swing, but in Australia, I'm not so sure. However, I don't understand cricket as much as he does, so there must be something behind that. But the fact is that again and again, on the front foot, when he's trying to drive or defend, that is when he's getting out, outside off, edging the deliveries again and again and again and again. This is a very, very serious issue, and I'm sure he is the one, the most affected by it, who's taking it the most seriously. But as Indian cricket fans, that is something we must be really bothered about. That if this continues, how long are we going to see Virat Kohli playing red ball cricket? And overall, does it impact his form in the ODI format as well? Because the big Champions Trophy is just around the corner. Then coming to Captain Rohit Sharma, there's so much to talk about him. We can actually have a complete video on Rohit Sharma as to how he performed as a captain, as a batter, what went wrong in this series, whether there was a rift between him and Gautam Gambhir, the coach or not. Lot of things to cover. Now, in short, fact is he scored 31 runs. Yes, you heard it right. 31 runs in 5 innings, an average of 6 runs per inning. These are stats that will embarrass Rohit Sharma, and I'm sure he's embarrassed about it. But what is he doing about it is the big thing. We saw him play Ranji Trophy, and unfortunately, he didn't look in good touch there. He hit a few sixes, but he didn't score big again. And the way he was getting out somewhere shows that maybe, just maybe, his cricket is on the verge of getting over. Because this is something I've seen happen with Murli Vijay, I've seen happen with a lot of players who are at the fag end of their careers, that they are trying everything, but their hand-eye coordination is just not coming back, and they are edging the deliveries, they are not able to see the ball at the right time, they are putting their front foot ahead, then they are searching for the ball. They aren't able to get the ball on bat the way they used to earlier. So that is certainly a big cause of concern. And I personally believe, and I may be trolled for this, a lot of you may disagree with my opinion, and that's okay. This is just my opinion, just like all of you are entitled to your opinions. I think Rohit Sharma is done in Test cricket, and we must look ahead of him. We've got KL Rahul as a good opener who looked solid all through the series, but performances did come. He was very, very inconsistent. He scored, I think, a couple of 70s, 80s, but then that is all across the series that he did. He looked solid all through. He looked good, but he didn't score runs at all. When you compare all the innings, all the 5 test matches, his runs are very meager. So that is the second reason, inconsistent performances all through. Even when you look at Yashasvi Jaiswal, he was outstanding in that second innings of the first test at Perth, and that is what gave us a lot of hope, right? That we can win this Border-Gavaskar Trophy once again for the 3rd time in a row. That 160-run knock. But after that, there were a couple of 80s, very good 80s. Both should have been hundreds. Unfortunately, they weren't in the 4th test. But apart from that, all through the series, he could have been slightly more consistent in the sense that maybe a couple of more 50s would have made him a contender for that Man of the Series award. Nevertheless, Yashasvi Jaiswal is set to do well because he's performed not only in India but overseas as well, and he's looked good all through. I think the biggest cause of concern right now in Test cricket is Shubman Gill. Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, both at the fag end of their careers, and both have proven themselves in the past. So it's okay if they decide to retire off, or if we don't see them in Test cricket from here on. But Shubman Gill, he's not even at the middle of his career now. He's in the first half of his career. And here itself, when we look at his overseas record, it's terrible, to be honest. In this series also, he looked clueless. Whether it's playing spin in Australian conditions or whether it's playing the fast bowlers, he looked clueless all through. And that is something that would really worry the team management. And it is worrying all of us cricket fans in India. Same goes for Rishabh Pant. I don't know where that fine line exists between being audacious and irresponsible, because the days he will perform, he will play the same way every time, right? That's a fact. The day he performs, we'll call him audacious, we'll call him great, daring, but the day he doesn't, we'll call him irresponsible. That is okay because that's his style of play. But then I think this time he looked completely off color. We had the highest hopes from Rishabh Pant, right? That in Australia, if anyone is going to score runs, it has to be Rishabh Pant. Whether the others score or not, we don't know. But Rishabh Pant certainly is going to score runs. Last time he won us the series almost single-handedly. But this time he looked completely off color, and this was a completely different Rishabh Pant. Nitish Reddy, of course, was the star of the series. He's been a star performer and he's delivered at the crucial times. He's saved India so much. I think he's a future star. He has to be persisted with. Then we come to the third point, which is total over-reliance on Jasprit Bumrah. While Jasprit Bumrah was amazing, was phenomenal, I don't have words to describe how good he was. And when we look at his record, he just needs to perform this way all through. He just needs to continue the way he is. He doesn't even need to up his game in order to become the best of all time, the greatest of all time, to surpass the great Malcolm Marshall. Yes, he's already up there. He's right up there. He just needs to maintain his stats. That is all he needs to do. But cricket is not a one-man show. We expected a lot of support from Mohammad Siraj, which Siraj did bowl a lot of overs, but then he wasn't as effective as he was in the last tour. The lack of a quality third seamer is something that really hurt India all through. Whether it was Akashdeep or Harshit Rana, they were good in spurts, they were good at times, but they weren't consistent. They didn't look like picking up wickets. So I think that will be a great cause of concern, that the role that Mohammad Shami used to do for India, of course he was the second seamer and Siraj at that time was the third seamer, but now Siraj is not able to fit into that role of the second seamer very well, and the third seamer's role is still in the open. So maybe a Prasidh Krishna, maybe somebody, but we have to quickly find that good seamer who can take responsibility, who can take a lot of pressure off Jasprit Bumrah's shoulders, because here it was just a one bowler show for India. The fourth reason is the tactical decisions and I think the blunders by Rohit Sharma. Whether it was deciding to bat at number 6 first and then suddenly deciding to open because he was of course panicking because he was not scoring runs, he was looking clueless, and that really disturbed the playing 11. Having Shubman Gill sit out, I know he wasn't scoring, but then that affects his confidence. After that, he wasn't able to come back at all. He didn't look like he could bat after that. So, and overall, of course, everybody talked about Rohit Sharma's defensive captaincy. I think the way he managed the field setting, the way he lacked aggression, even one bit of it we couldn't see all through the series. So that is a big cause of concern. Rohit Sharma's captaincy in Test cricket has always been under question, and I personally feel that he is very poor as a Test captain while he's outstanding as a white ball captain. On the contrary, Virat Kohli was average, ordinary in white ball captaincy, but he was the best India ever had in red ball captaincy. And lastly, I think the fact that Australia always believed that they can win. India too probably did, but Australia were on top of their game. All their batters made the best use of all opportunities, be it Steve Smith, be it Travis Head, all batters, even Manas Labuschagne. He didn't get 100, but he scored a lot of good gritty knocks where he was standing there, he was getting hit, but he was not getting out. He didn't give up. So I think that grit that we saw, even Scott Boland, just coming in when Hazelwood was injured and performing so well. I personally believe that Scott Boland was the best bowler in Australia. I've said that while the series was going on. When all these results didn't come, I personally believe that Scott Boland is a better bowler than Josh Hazelwood and Pat Cummins. Yes, and even Mitchell Stark, because Mitchell Stark only performs on his day, where whether it's a day when he's getting a lot of swing, whether it's a day when their team is playing a pink ball test. That's the only time Mitchell Stark performs, to be honest. But Scott Boland has looked very good, and he, to be honest, was the difference between the two sides. Had Scott Boland not been there, I think India would have had a greater chance of at least drawing the series, if not win it. But it was Scott Boland all through. I think Scott Boland was an underrated star, and he was that one man who made sure Australia wins the series and wins it comprehensively. I think this video is getting too long, but that is all I want to share. Thank you so much for watching. Please do comment your opinions, even if you disagree. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.